Everybody, this is my good friend John from Pacific Coast Bartender School. Taught me everything I know about bartending, and he's here at my home bar, ready to teach us a couple tricks, and you're learning from the great here today.
Thank you, AJ, for having me here. We were talking about the best way to memorize drinks, and of course that's grouping drinks. Always find the common ingredients, and you can memorize 1, memorize 10. This is another example of that same method, but I want to call your attention to another little bit of being a little more expert bartender. A lot of people memorize the ingredients and they try and just fill them up, etc. But if you don't have the proper ice ratio, especially in this combination, then it's not going to taste properly. For example, I'm going to make a drink called a Black Russian, which a lot of people know is vodka and Kahlua. Then I'm going to make a White Russian, vodka, Kahlua, and cream. And then one last one called a Colorado Bulldog, which just is a White Russian, vodka, Kahlua, cream, and a little splash of Coke. But if I try and fit like all those ingredients in the same amount of ice as the first one, obviously it's not going to taste properly. It's going to taste either way too weak or way too strong or way too sweet, etc. So if you noticed here, on the very first one, I'm only using the 2 ingredients, vodka and Kahlua. So I want to fill the glass even with ice. On the second one, I have to add a little bit of cream to it, so I want to make room for that cream. So if you notice, it's about 3/4 filled. If I go ahead and add cream and Coke to it, then I have to bring it down even a little bit lower. So that way it will go ahead and take all the ingredients and taste properly. If I just fill them all with ice all the way across, then I have to cut down on the alcohol, and again, it's not going to taste properly. It's going to taste way too weak. It's another trick that, again, you learn from your customer. They'll tell you right off the bat, this one tastes, way too sweet, way too strong, way too weak, etc. So luckily in this one, we want the alcohol to be all the same, because that's what your bar manager is going to test you on and measure you on. In this one, it gets 1.5 ounces of vodka. So we don't want to shortchange anybody with this one or this one because we're adding extra ingredients. We want them to get what they're paying for, and that's the alcohol. So 1.5 ounces of vodka, we all know what count that is. A 4 count equals 1 ounce, so 1.5 ounces would be a 6 count. And I'm going to use my favorite Kettle One. So here we go ahead and just count it. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6. You see, they're all equal all the way across. But incidentally, I don't count out loud. I'm just doing that for your benefit. If I do that in front of the customer, they're going, why are you counting? I'll go, so I get the exact amount so I don't give you any extra. They'll go, oh, you're cheating me, give me extra. So I say that to myself. But if you notice, equal all the way across. So now they got the alcohol that they paid for. 1/2 ounce of Kahlua, which is a coffee liqueur. Love this stuff. It's a liqueur, so it's going to pour a little bit slower. So now instead of almost like second hands on the clock, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, like I did with the regular alcohol, I'm going to slow it down just a hair. You'll hear me go 1 and 2. I really stress that and in the middle instead of 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Second hands on the clock, and I swirl it around so it goes ahead and mixes itself naturally. So 1 and 2, 1 and 2, 1 and 2. Now you can really see the difference all the way across. A little lip, so that I can hand it to the customer or the cocktail waitress. This one's a little bit lower and this one's a little bit lower. So that again, I get this kind of like cascading effect so I can add the extra ingredients. Here we have the Black Russian, vodka, and Kahlua. The next one, White Russian. Just add 1/2 ounce of cream. And we go ahead and put our cream in a nice fancy bottle. Sometimes it's in one of these mixer pour spouts, or usually the little 1/2 and 1/2 carton. And if you just go ahead and open the carton and squeeze it a little bit, it reacts just like these little pour spouts. Here, we just go ahead and match it, even with this one. So I swirl it around a little bit. I don't even really have to count. I just make it even. So there's our 1/2 ounce there. This one's going to come just a little bit lower, so I have room for the cream. And now these two are even, so now I have a Black Russian and a White Russian. Colorado Bulldog, and how I memorize that it's a Colorado Bulldog and it gets 1 extra ingredient is I think a C in Colorado. Oh, add Coke to it. So add a little bit of Coke on top, and voila, We have 3 drinks, basically 1 recipe: vodka and Kahlua, Black Russian, White Russian, and the Colorado Bulldog. Enjoy.